How's it going, YouTube? Atheist Chef here. Today, Nate Cunningham, or if you're a fan of Side 10 Atheist, Nate Cunningham. I know, I love it. I'll link the video below if you have no idea what Nate Cunningham is. It's a great video. Anyways, he has released a video describing what he thinks allows for us to identify morality between atheists and Christians. Who has the better morality? Now, his argument essentially is, and I'll link the video down below as well, that if you walk into a Google Hangout that is primarily just atheists or solely atheists, and then another hangout that is just Christians, you can, and as long as they're not talking about God or the Bible or anything of that sort, you can tell their morality by their discussion. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I want to make it clear, Nate, I love you, I respect you, but I'm here to discuss bad arguments. You know, I have not a problem with you, just this wickedly wrong argument. Reason number one of why this is a really bad argument. Have you ever been to an atheist, exclusive hangout? Give it like 30 seconds and it's going to start turning into a circle jerk. When there is like a gap in conversation where nobody knows what to talk about, we're going to immediately jump into some stupid creationist thought or argument or something that G-Man said or something that Dick Shades did. It doesn't take long. I don't know what it is about it, but man, there's no way God's not going to get discussed in the conversation in a room full of atheists. Reason number two on why this is a really bad argument is that you can't make a judgment or make a claim based on an incredibly small sample size. If you go watch some Google Plus Hangouts, you may find 10, 20, 30 atheists. Maybe. But it's an incredibly small sample size. You cannot make generalizations based on that from atheists or Christians alone. Now, in your comment section of your video, and again, the video is going to be linked down below, you try to defend this by saying, look, I didn't mean to generalize this. I hate generalizing, etc., etc. However, it's a rule of thumb. How can you say something is a rule of thumb and not be generalizing at the same time? Reason number three. I was a Christian for over 15 years until about 2 years ago. So in that time, I had plenty of time being a Christian as a teenager, preteen, teenager, young adult. I got to see, I went to the same church for a long time. I got to see people from all walks of life into that church. But there was one thing that for sure you could say that they had in common, is that they were all full of shit. Everyone had lies, everyone had secrets, everyone had things that they were not wanting to expose to people from the church. Because when you're in a church setting, you're not going to talk about your history. You're not going to talk about like, oh yeah, what did I do? Like, I beat my wife last night. Oh, went and got drunk. I was watching my child pornography. You're not going to be having those discussions. But yet, there were Christians in that church that had those same problems. Hell, my pastor was cheating on his wife. My pastor's wife was cheating on the pastor. He was stealing money from our church to go spend his money on his private jet to go see his little slut wife person that he was meeting on the side. Like, everyone is full of shit. So when you have those conversations, just because you can be at a church and listen to people talk, and they talk about how they're blessed and how God is blessing them and how all this stuff, you cannot gauge their morality based on their discussion. there's just there's no connection there. People can be two-faced, and we're learning this in church that we call them, two-faced Christians, or taking off the mask. They would wear one mask for church and then one mask for the rest. Every time they're out of church. And it's the same way with those Google Plus Hangouts. I mean, you're in a room full of Christians. You're not going to go talk about masturbating to child porn in front of 9 other Christians in the room. That is kind of, part of that whole, social norms. We've established that this is the kind of things you talk about when you're here and with this X group of people. So to tell a person to go to a Google Plus Hangout and watch how moral they are in a Google Plus Hangout, no, sorry. It's just wrong. But again, in your comments section, you tried to say, hey, look, I'm not trying to generalize. So this obviously means that you're trying to say it's either a specific group of Christians or some Christians or some atheists. Well, that doesn't help you much either. Because if you go into a Google Plus Hangout, and let's just say the 10 Christians that are in the Hangout are the really good, moral, upstanding, follow Jesus' commands, maybe moderate Christians that are also secular humanists at the same time. Well, we can do the same thing with the atheists. What if all 10 atheists are in that room and they're secular humanists, and their goal in their entire discussion that you come across is all about how we can apply secular humanism to help people? You can't make a judgment call based on the conversation, because you have, again, as I said before, an incredibly small sample size. There is no way to identify what's a good atheist, a good moral atheist, or what's a good moral Christian, because it's kind of luck of the draw of the one you walk into. That is hardly empirical, it's hardly scientific, and it's hardly able to make a justified, substantiated claim based on that. So when it comes down to it, you cannot say who is more moral, either atheist or Christians, by looking at them in a group setting. An atheist can be an atheist, and he could be an immoral fucktard, or he can be an extreme secular humanist, and is just the exact opposite. And a Christian can be, I guess you would call a loose definition of a Christian, still believe Jesus is his Savior, and blah blah blah, all those kind of good things. Insert your own personal definition of what a Christian means, and still be an immoral fuckwit in some regards. Or you can be a fantastic Christian and be an incredibly moral human being. It's still generalization, regardless of what your attempts were to try to say it wasn't. If you want to know if a person is a moral person, you get them when they don't think that they're being watched. That's how you really know somebody's morality. So I'm sorry, Nate. Once again, this is an incredibly bad argument and just has no substantiation behind it. I don't know where you thought this was going to work out for you, to be honest. I hope you maybe change your stance on this, or come out with something that, really clarifies what you really mean. Because if this is what you mean, damn.